Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I am doing my exosomes 5-month check-in. Today is June 29th, so technically I always try to do it like at the beginning of the following month. But since I have time today, and also too, I have a follow-up with my immunologist in a week, and I was gonna wait, but I was like, no, I've got the time right now. And to be honest, I'm kind of like, does it really matter, if I do it exactly, at the 5-month mark? I mean, it pretty much is. But I will, if anything interesting, comes up at my follow up, I will do another video and I'll just add it to the playlist. I just wanted to kind of do this because, like I said, I have the time right now. I'm alone in the house and I just kind of want to vent, I guess. So I'm still dealing with the thoracic tightness, the flaring of some of the neuromuscular issues. It does appear better than it was before, but I'm still not at my baseline. And when I say baseline, that means where I was prior to the exosomes while I was on IVIG. The IVIG did help with the neuromuscular stiffness and tightness. So that's my baseline. Did it fix it completely? No. Did it reverse it completely? No. But it did help. I'm still uncomfortable when I sit. It's not as painful as it was before, but I am still uncomfortable. But it does appear to have improved a bit, but it's not completely gone. So, it's still there. I'm still kind of, I guess, in a flare. I can't say that I have experienced any improvement 5 months out from the exosomes. I'm just praying that this flare goes down. That's at this point, that's all I want is for the flaring to go down. I'm almost at the point where I don't even care if I do show any kind of improvement in my symptoms as long as I stop feeling like such an absolute pile of garbage. And I will talk about that as I go down the list of issues. So no, I have not seen any improvement in any of my symptoms, meaning when I say improvement, I am looking at something consistent. For example, there was a recurrent infection that I had been having for months and months, literally like every single month. And I have not had it in, I think, 3 or 4 months. I want to say 3 months that I haven't had this infection. I'm not going to say that that's improvement because it's only been 3 months. And judging by the other issues that I've had other infections like that gum infection I talked to you guys about a couple of check-ins ago. And I'm having some other issues. So even though that specific infection hasn't hit me in a few months, I'm not going to count that as improvement because I'm still not 100% sure. It could still hit me. And I'm actually kind of anticipating it based on some of the other things that have happened. So for example, I don't know if I did a video on this. This was prior to the exosomes. It was a bizarre issue. And by the way, if you're easily grossed out, you probably don't want to watch the rest of this check-in because it's going to be kind of gross. But I was having an issue with one of my toes bleeding. I don't know if it was bleeding or if it's pus. I know that this is disgusting. I don't know what it is. So it was in the nail, kind of in the nail bed, almost like at the cuticle. One of my big toes was bleeding or seeping, or I don't know. It was not hurting. It's still not hurting. One doctor said it's probably an ingrown toenail. I said it's not hurting. Ingrown toenails usually hurt a lot. But whatever, they gave me like a topical antibiotic. They gave me an antifungal nail thing. No improvement. Eventually it stopped. I bought some new sneakers that were actually a little too big for me. And so it kind of stopped. So I was like, maybe that's what it was. Maybe the foot is just so sensitive that the toe was touching, and I don't know. Well, it's back. So it had stopped for, several months. Now it's back. The weird thing about the toe bleeding, it was bleeding before on the right side of the nail bed on the cuticle. Now it's bleeding on the left side of the nail bed on the cuticle. So at this point, I'm pretty sure this is not an ingrown toenail. It's got to be some kind of a weird infection. To be honest, I'm not even sure if it's that or if my body just is, I don't know if maybe something's attacking that area. I don't know. But that's back. So when I say that I can't, yes, I may have this other infection that I was having may have stopped for a few months. Well, my toe situation had stopped for several months and now it's back. So I'm not going to sort of jump the gun and say, well, this recurrent infection has stopped because I'm having all these other issues, the gum infection, the toe situation. I was still experiencing the intestinal stuff. I do have SIBO, what is it called? Dysbiosis. And it kind of started acting up. I think it was like last week's, sometime around my period, I started having that again and waking up kind of feeling gross from my stomach, waking up with a lot of like gases, like burping. I believe that's called dyspepsia. Burping, feeling kind of nauseated in the mornings. Um, just a lot of that. And so I know that a lot of that is related to um, dysbiosis, SIBO, and all of that. So I was like, that's not improved either. And that's an infection, or it's an overgrowth of bacteria. So your body is not able to sort of manage this overgrowth of bacteria and, candida and all of that. So to me, yes, one infection seems to have kind of stopped for a while, but everything else is still kind of flaring up. So I don't want to say, oh, my infections have stopped, just because one has, and all these other things are kind of popping back up. But that is sort of the theme of month 5. Everything is popping back up. So I started the month with a flu-like episode. So that is something that I did know about exosomes, is that you will have these flu-like episodes. And I don't know what that is. I guess it's just your immune system activating. At the very beginning, I think within the first like 2 or 3 months when it was really intense, I had probably maybe 2 or 3 flu-like episodes. And when I say a flu-like episode, I'm not talking about just fatigue or just body aches. I'm talking about a flu-like episode. Being very tired, nausea, fatigue, feeling kind of weak. That's one of the symptoms that I've noticed, feeling very weak, feeling very out of it. To the point where I need to get into bed. Like I have to get into bed and go and lay down and see if I can sleep or something during the day. So I had a few of those at the beginning, and I actually started the beginning of month 5. I may have talked about this in my month 4 check-in, but literally almost exactly at the 4-month point, beginning month 5, I had another one of these flu-like episodes, which I felt was really far out, was really far from, when I had the exosomes done, which was the end of January, and this was the beginning of June. And I had another one of these episodes where I woke up, I was nauseated, I felt nauseous, and it's not like the SIBO. There's a lot of different types of nausea. This was not like a dyspepsia nausea. This was like an I feel sick nausea. Like I feel unwell. You wake up and you feel tired. I had my breakfast reluctantly and you started feeling weak. You sometimes have like muscle aches, but just kind of feeling weak and just, feeling unwell. And so I kind of try to do whatever I need to do, my daily routine for a few hours. And typically by like noon or 1 o'clock, I'm just like, I'm not feeling well. And these episodes last like almost the entire day, like most of the day. So it's not like it happens and then it kind of goes away. It's like the whole day. I just don't feel well. It's like having kind of a small flu and I'm not feeling well. So I started month 5 that way. And it's wild to me how almost exact to the 4-month mark it hit. It was really weird. And that's how I started the month. So that lasted, it usually just lasts for the day. The next day I feel better. Um, uh, my eventually, my period hit, and that was also another hot mess. It's becoming almost like a Russian roulette with PMS. My PMS is typically like insomnia, night sweats, having cramping several days before I actually start. Um, Not severe cramping, but little cramps leading up to that day, and that can start almost 10 days prior. Just having a wide array of issues, acne, things like that. Um, I feel like that period before the PMS period is becoming shorter, or it's closer to the day that I start, and it's starting to just happen during that time, which is, I guess, better than having it so prolonged so many days before. But again, here's another situation where I don't want to uh, count my chickens before they hatch. There were 2 months, I think 2 months that I can recall, where I had zero night sweats. And that was almost like right after my exosomes were administered, where I had zero night sweats. They just disappeared. And even with my IVIG, my night sweats had improved. Um, and it would be just like a little bit of sweating, whereas before, I mean, I would wake up drenched. It was something that I had never experienced before. And the IVIG seemed to have improved that, but the night sweats were still there. They had not completely gone away. And I had 2 months where they had just stopped completely. And then this last month, I had a little bit, woke up kind of sweaty, and then that was it. And before, when it was really bad, it was like a few days prior, like at night, just waking up soaking wet. So again, I can't say this has improved unless I see months of consistent improvement. With my, cramps, they had been improving quite a bit prior to the exosomes, but I still waited like 3 or 4 months to actually say, wow, they have actually improved. Did they go away completely? No, but I wasn't expecting them to, so I could say they had improved. The pain is kind of kicking back up again as well. Although the one thing that I will say is that I'm still able to control them with ibuprofen, which again, prior to IVIG, prior to exosomes, ibuprofen would take the edge off, but it wouldn't. It was still a good 48 hours of really having to be diligent in controlling the pain. And what I do notice is that the Advil seems to stop it for a while. Like before, it was like a lot of breakthrough pain, and the Advil still seems to stop it, even though the pain does seem intense without the medication. My throat's drying up. So again, I can't say all of that has improved. Having crazy dreams, that was also, I think, part of PMS, but it's just been kind of a general situation. Having intense anger and rage in my dream, having a lot of sadness, crying, and then waking up with tears. That kind of stuff is very weird to me. It's happened to me before, but it was just particularly intense. I've noticed the frequent urination seems to be coming back a bit. That's kind of alarming because that had improved a lot with the IVIG, and it takes a long time for these things to improve with IVIG. So it eats away at my soul when these symptoms start coming back. My hair loss has also kicked up. So my hair, if you guys haven't seen, I know there's a video on my hair loss. But when I started the exosomes, we did the infusions end of January. And then I think like a couple months later, I noticed some hair falling out. And I fully expected that because I know that the hair loss is connected to some kind of histamine situation. A little bit of hair loss, it kind of would ebb and flow, but I was like, this is expected. I know that exosomes are going to kick up my histamine problems, and I was fully anticipating having some increased hair loss. And I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. It seems to kind of ebb and flow, and it's just kind of mild, and I can live with that. Well, in the last few weeks, or probably in the last month, it's starting to kick up quite a bit. And I'm seeing a lot of hair shedding. And of course, that also kind of gets to me because it had been very well controlled prior to the exosomes. I knew that it was going to kick up, and I thought I was going to get lucky that it wasn't going to kick up too much. But in the last few weeks, it has kicked up quite a bit. Um, so yeah, that was a bit disconcerting. Oh, and the other thing with the PMS was I had really bad. I typically will sometimes have leg pain or knee pain with my PMS. Um, it aches. My legs feel tired, but it's nothing, nothing that I can't, push through. I can still go for my walks. I had really bad, knee pain, leg pain, and particularly my right. Um, it's not my hip. It's like the socket where your leg attaches to like your hip. It was hurting a lot. Every time I would kind of pivot, it just hurt. Like it felt almost like the ligaments were loose, and like my joint was loose, and it was hurting. And yeah, that was really scary because the pain, that kind of pain is not usually too bad with me. Yes, I'll get joint pain, with PMS from time to time, but it was pretty intense. And I even felt like when I took ibuprofen, which typically will calm these types of pains, it didn't even seem to be working. Um, it seemed to work sometimes, but then other times didn't, and the pain was moderate. It wasn't severe, but it was moderate, and so that kind of scared me because it happened before. It happened a few days before, and I thought if that pain is bad right, before I even start, I was really, and I still am really scared about um the menstrual cramps getting worse because that is the most intense pain that I have had with this condition. So I'm still very weird and a little bit on edge about that. But the cramps were intense. They were more intense than they've been, but well controlled, and you know, it they're still not at the worst that I've ever had them. But that was weird. The knee pain and the knee pain, the hip joint thing was really kind of scary because I was like, if I can't walk, because I do a lot of walking, if I can't walk, that's really going to uh upset me. It's really going to get in the way of my routine. So the last thing that I want to touch on is that I have been feeling like crap it's been almost a week. I think it started Friday. Today is June 29th. It is a Wednesday. And I've been feeling for close to a week like just tired. Um, so it feels, if you go back to my like probably first or second check-in, it feels similar to those first couple of months where I felt kind of out of it. I guess that's fogginess, feeling out of it, feeling kind of lethargic, and it's kind of back. It's not as intense as it was at that time, but it's there. And it's been, like I said, I think it started Friday because I remember, I usually go out and do things on the weekend. I like to go to the swap meet, things like that. And I remember just feeling like, I feel kind of out of it and weird. And I thought at first it was because I was off of my oxygen. I usually will take a break from my oxygen on Saturday and Sunday. And I thought maybe it's that. And then on Monday, I'm back on my oxygen and I still kept feeling that way. And then yesterday, I still, I'm on my oxygen all day and I still kept feeling that way. And when my oxygen, and actually I had been feeling pretty decent on my oxygen. Um, yeah, I would still feel weird off of my oxygen, but with my oxygen, I was actually feeling pretty good. And so this has me a little bit like, kind of like the joint pain. This has me a little bit weirded out because it's been several days. I want to say that it might be getting better, uh, but I don't know. It still hasn't. I mean, I don't expect to feel super energized because I never am, but this weird kind of fogginess, kind of tiredness, feeling kind of worn out. And I've been sleeping really good. That's the kind of irony of it, is that I've been sleeping well through the night, but then you wake up and I'm okay for maybe an hour, and then I can literally feel like the energy and sort of like this heaviness kind of coming down on me. And so I'm still dealing with that. And it's been, like I said, it'll be probably a week on Friday. Um, I don't like that because that wasn't one of my symptoms to begin with. At least I don't think so. And I can feel it. I can really feel it. So it's I just feel like garbage. So the theme for this 5 month check-in is like a tsunami of everything coming back and hitting me, which is very, you know, like I said, disconcerting. It's concerning to me that everything seems to just be coming and getting me all at once. One tiny little thing that I thought I would just kind of throw in there is, I got two like mosquito bites, and I'm not saying that that has contributed to this fatigue or anything, but one of the weird things I noticed, they did seem to be very red, kind of big mosquito bites, but I didn't know what they were because they didn't itch, and they're still not itching. So I don't know what that's about. Having mosquito bites that just absolutely don't itch. I don't know if that has something to do with the exosomes or with whatever's going on in my body, but it was just weird. But yeah, overall, I feel like absolute garbage. My neurological symptoms have not improved. The flaring is very slowly coming down. I did get my blood work. My GAD antibodies have gone down. My SED rate is way down. So, SED rate usually measures infection, an acute infection, and that has gone way, way down. So I don't know why I'm still dealing with kind of infection type symptoms. And that number is, I mean, totally within range. I mean, the drop was pretty dramatic. And the drop with the GAD antibodies has gone down quite a bit as well. But like I mentioned, you will see the videos on GAD antibodies. One of my doctors told me that number is completely bogus. So I will have to get back to you guys next week on all of that after I see my immunologist. But this video's gone on long enough. I'm worried that it's going to cut me off. So I'm going to go. I will try to do another video after I talk to my doctor. But that's where I'm at. So please like and subscribe. Check out the rest of the playlist.